Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. This video is going to be new because it's not about essays specifically. Today we're going to talk about summer programs. So even if you're not, or especially if you're not a senior in college, this is going to be the ideal video for you. What we're going to be talking about essentially is what summer programs are, how you can benefit from them, why you want to apply to them, and places to find them, including a resource that I created myself. So let's get into it. The reason why I felt like making this video is because it's that time of year. Do I draw a cloud? Oh, it's that time of year. I don't know, where it's like Jan, February, March, where juniors want to start writing their college essays. And I highly advise not doing this. And the reason being is because there's 8 months until the college application season, and during those 8 months is very formative for you to actually gather life data so that you can later then write it on your college applications. The other reason for it is because your college essays are the last thing that you can really work on your application. So before you get to that point, you want to make sure that you have everything else that you can do on your application, which includes just gaining experience, any test scores if those are relevant. I know they're still optional nowadays, so you don't have to do those, but if you can and they're available to you, I would still do them. What else? And yeah, involvement I'm gonna add as well in school, so kind of trying to get those leadership positions if you can, or those internships, fellowships, etc., which fall under this category. So the reason why summer programs are really great for people who do want to start writing their essays this early is that you have to apply with essays. So it's a really great litmus test or gauge to figure out how competitive you are. So how competitive your stats are, which you've gathered over the freshman and sophomore years and your first semester of junior year. So you can gauge how competitive you are for certain programs. I did not spell that word right, and we're going to ignore that fact. So that's really a great benefit of summer programs. The other great benefit is that it'll add to this list so that you do become more competitive for when you apply during your senior year of college, when you're applying to college. We're going to quickly go into other benefits of summer programs, and then I'll explain what they are, what they can entail, options, etc. So the other benefits of summer programs is that you have access to networks, and typically they are competitive, so it can, I keep spelling it wrong, competitive. Okay, so anyways, they're typically competitive, so that shows that you as an individual are competitive for college applications, and then they also provide you with like experience relevant to your academic interests, and it shows, so primarily it shows that you care about your topic or field. And because of that, I also want to highlight that there's a lot of other ways to show that you care about your topic or field without necessarily applying to a formal summer program. So though these applications are open, again, January through May typically, but a lot fall in this earlier period of this timeline, which is why I wanted to release this video now, so that for those of you who don't know, become aware and can find access to these things. But you also don't need to apply to summer programs. Other options are just contacting local people in your field of interest. Local, I guess should say people or businesses. And we'll probably make a part 2 follow up on like how you can go about cold emailing is what we call it. It's where you kind of email a professor out of the blue who you don't really know and say, hey, can I join your lab? Or you're emailing a business. It's like, hey, do you have any spots for volunteers or interns that can hang out and check out like how the field works and things like that. So we'll make a part 2 about that later, but this is just so you guys know how to get engaged during your summer before your senior year. You want to make sure you're focusing on doing that and not only on your essays prematurely. Alrighty, so here's a resource that I always link in all my YouTube videos. There's tons of different things that you can access at any stage of the college application process, and specifically we're going to check out summer programs. So they're typically geared towards juniors, so this is why I have these primarily for juniors here. And here you'll find that there's a lovely chart that lists a bunch of different opportunities. I'll briefly explain this chart. So I include the school program name over here, the location, whether it's online or the state that it's in, so you can figure out how close it is to you, how reasonably you want to travel there, the type of program, so it ranges from like basically any topic of the program. When it comes to things like STEM, I don't specify whether it's specifically math. I do specify mathematics apparently. Okay, but I don't specifically highlight like what type of STEM, like biology versus physics typically, so that you can find out by clicking on the links, which are over here. Target groups, usually they're open to all, but sometimes some are especially geared towards women or other minorities in fields and things like that, so you can scroll this categories to figure that out. And then cost is the biggest thing. I think it's the biggest advantage that I highlight here, is that a lot of the programs that I tried to find are ones that are specifically geared to your benefit only, because a lot of the controversy around these summer programs is that some can cost $5,000, $8,000, $10,000, $12,000, very expensive. As you can see, this one here is $7,000. And for those programs, they actually don't demonstrate the kind of competitiveness that I was alluding to earlier, because of the fact that they're solely based on your ability to pay most of the time. They do have a capital limit, so it'll be slightly selective, but essentially your ability to pay is a large factor in determining whether you can participate in one of these programs. However, there still can be good to participate in if they're not as expensive, or if it's not a huge financial burden for you to pay, because it demonstrates your commitment to your field of interest. So if you're really into mathematics and you have $7,000 that you want to spend on an entire summer at Stanford University Mathematics Camp, go for it. Know that that is solely for you to learn more about mathematics, and kind of tell when you apply, like, hey, I'm really interested in mathematics. Here are all the things I've learned so far. Here's what I want to learn more in the future. That aside, programs that are free are extremely, extremely competitive because of the fact they're free. They usually get larger applications and have smaller spots for the schools to select. So if you're admitted, typically, not all the time, but that's how it goes, usually. So if the program is free, also it's just a huge benefit for you, because you're gaining entire summer experience and not having to lose too much out of your pocket or wallet, and you're gaining experience in topics and fields that you're super interested in. And then on top of free, you even get some internships that are paid, so they're not only are they free, but they'll pay you like $3,000 to participate, because you're conducting research or you're doing some sort of labor, and they recognize the fact that you should be able to pay for the things that you're working on and learning about. So it's just that's, I think, the second most important thing maybe on this chart. The most important is the deadline. So we really need to pay attention to the deadlines, and not all of them have their deadlines published yet, or I haven't checked it out yet. So definitely click the links to figure out when is the deadline, and then put it on your own calendar that you have access to, or an alarm that can remind you of which programs you're applying to and when their deadlines are. Unfortunately, some deadlines have passed. Because some were due in December or very early January. I don't think I see, or January 10th, like that you can no longer apply to, unfortunately. But November 3rd is also freakishly early, and that one is closed. But regardless, these are all different things that you can check out. I do want to highlight, going back, that there's also programs dedicated to supporting people who are underrepresented in underrepresented in XYZ fields. So you see the target group varies a lot here. Some are geared towards African Americans or Hispanic and Latinos specifically, Latinx individuals specifically, others for first gen, low socioeconomic status, which is just typically referred to as low income. I don't know why I went for the longer version of that. But then what's also great, which I forgot to show on the other site, is because this website is actually a paid platform, I can't have everything on the chart all pretty and organized like this. So then I have more, like, it's basically the same chart but also an Excel spreadsheet with all the links and the deadlines that you can access here. So if we go back to the other one, I think that one also has a lot. Let's see if we can find that Excel spreadsheet right here, the spreadsheet with way more. Yeah, so you definitely don't forget about the Excel spreadsheets on this website as well, because there are more internships for you to find. Now, there's endless internship opportunities, so I've linked to other databases. If there's one, because again, every internship is like it's not one size fits all. So for whatever reason, if you're not eligible or if it's not in your region that you can travel to easily, there might be others that you can find over here. This one is Pathway to Science, so I think it's specifically going to only show science related internships, but what's really cool is that you can select K through 12. I think maybe there's a way to filter, but you can find paid internships, yada yada. There's just tons and tons of links that you can go in the rabbit hole. And I just wanted to make sure that this was all accessible to you, and that's why I made this website, because people, like, you wouldn't know to apply to an internship if you didn't know that it existed. And you can only find out if it existed if you knew to look for it. And if you don't know to look for it or how to find it in the first place, well, how are you ever gonna have the opportunity to apply at the end of the day? So that's why I made this website and linked all of these different links so that it's more readily available for you guys to find these different opportunities. And yeah, I think that's all we've got here. Specifically for Ohio residents, I did create summer program lists there as well, so I should highlight that. If you are an Ohio resident, I went into a lot more detail. Let's see what I mean by detail. Yeah, like this list is a lot more shorter because I didn't go as in depth as I could, but yeah. You can find a lot more things that you're eligible for if you're in Ohio, just, to paying tribute to where I grew up, yada yada. And then, if you're a senior, feel free to explore the other aspects of this website. Also, if you're a senior, don't count yourself out for these internships. For example, on this website, you should be able to find ones that are more geared towards seniors. And I should emphasize that not all of these are for juniors only. So sometimes these are for sophomores, juniors, and seniors, and I just haven't gotten the time to sort through all of that yet. I guess I could add a category here to clarify. Yeah. So I would do that in the future, but that's all we have for today. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next time.